Hello and welcome to the Sorry You're in My Seat podcast. I'm your host for this week. My name is Aaron and I'm joined by...
I am Sam.
And I'm James.
Good stuff. We are three friends who are obsessed with movies. We get together most weeks to talk about movies, and then someone had the bright idea of why don't we sit down and record these conversations and put them out there as a podcast for people to listen to and hopefully join in the conversation. And that's what we're doing. And this has been the combination of weeks and months of procrastinating and saying, let's do a podcast. And we're finally here now doing it. So how's it feel?
Yeah, feels really good. I mean, let's be honest, it's not a cheap experience to try and get it started, is it? So we had to come over that first, but finally we watched some films and got some money and now we're here.
And also the settle time has been very quick. You haven't noticed it at all.
No. And I mean, lies be told, this isn't actually the first one. We've done some demo ones before, haven't we? So
they don't count.
They're in the vault. One day we might show how terrible they were. But yeah, this is a film podcast looking at films that are out each week, looking at films that are available on Netflix, and then just generally talking classics that we love, that we like, or ones to avoid, really. So this week, I believe we are going to talk about a few films that we've been watching. Just a quick insight, James, we've been to see...
we saw Skyscraper the other day.
Yeah, Skyscraper, starring The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. And Sam, you've been watching some films on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix, Now TV. There's some pretty good ones on there. There's some pretty bad ones, but yeah.
Good stuff. We're also going to do a bit of a game. We're going to go down memory lane, really. But we'll talk a bit more about that in a short while. So let's jump straight off with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson in Skyscraper. James, let's set up the premise of the film. What's it about?
Well, The Rock plays an amputee who ends up in a building with his family, trapped. Then The Rock ends up outside the building and has spent a good portion of the movie trying to get in the building. Oh, by the way, the building's on fire at this stage and terrorists are in it. And he gets back in the building. His family get out the building, except for the girl, and he stays in there with the world's most English bad guy and the world's most Hong Kong-ish Chinese man.
Well, there we go. What a review.
That sounds amazing.
So we're picking up themes with Die Hard, obviously, in this film.
And a towering inferno. It's like someone just smashed their hands together, my friend.
So that's pretty in-depth narrative of what the whole story involves. But yes, The Rock in a towering inferno-based building in a Die Hard situation. That's what's going on.
I believe you've missed the point here, Aaron. He's an amputee.
He's an amputee, yeah.
He loses his leg.
Yes.
And the reason I bring it up is because the film brings it up at pretty much every opportunity.
I'm picking up vibes that you didn't enjoy the film.
No, you're wrong. I love the film. I'm picking up vibes that you didn't like the film.
I didn't like the film. I love The Rock. I love action films. I like simple films that have a kind of very basic premise behind them. My issue with this is that everything I didn't like about the film, if you took out, you'd be left with Die Hard. And I'd rather just watch Die Hard.
It's a lot cheaper than going to cinema, isn't it?
Yeah. I just found the film that, like I say, the whole way through the film, The Rock is telling you what's going on in case anyone's nodded off or gone to the toilet. You know, this is why I'm climbing out this window. This is why I'm breaking into this, into the IT systems to unlock a door. And
so I've got a question for you. Is it a nod to Die Hard or is it a blatant rip-off?
It's a blatant rip-off.
Do you not think it's done with love?
No, because that doesn't seem...
What about the bit then? Because I know afterwards they came out and said, oh, it's inspiration. The bit with duct tape. Now, I don't want to ruin it for anyone because I really want... Duct tape plays a larger role in the film than you would think.
Yeah. I still think... I think they were into a film that was looking very much like Die Hard, and then quickly they started saying, oh, we've took inspiration from Die Hard. The second you get my family are stuck in a building that's been taken over by terrorists, you are in Die Hard territory.
So what's more unbelievable? The Rock hanging out of a skyscraper with duct tape, or Neve Campbell playing a combat surgeon?
What are you trying to say about Neve Campbell?
She's not a very good actress.
Sam, Neve Campbell was in the Scream films originally.
Okay.
Did you watch Scream films?
Years ago, yeah.
I should say at this point, I think it's fair to say that James and I are the kind of movie buffs. Is that fair?
In the context of this room, yes.
Yeah, in the context of this room, yes, you are.
Yeah,
very much so.
I think James and I like the detail of a film, the storyline, the actors, the backstory.
I liked Skyscraper.
Yeah. Where Sam's more of your kind of everyday film goer, aren't you?
Yeah, the people say things and I go, oh, you said that, that's nice. And then that's about as far as the film goes for me. There might be some gore and boobs, and then I'm happy.
So what do you look for in a film?
Gore and boobs. Drinking. I don't mind a man who has a nice whiskey as well.
Yeah.
Is that not what everyone looks for in a film?
No.
Oh. Okay. I'm out.
No.
I'll see you later.
Sounds like you'd be happier with porn.
Yes. Yes, I would be.
Coming soon.
But you wouldn't do that podcast with me. I asked you.
It's a skyscraper.
Back on subject.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it. What it does lack in is a good bad guy, which obviously the film it takes inspiration from has one of the best bad guys in the history of film, Hans Gruber. That was a shout out to the lovable and never forgotten Alan Rickman. The bad guy is terrible. And at one point they say he has a Scandinavian accent, which made me feel stupid because I thought he had a French accent for all of the film.
Yeah, I think that, like you say, when you start making the comparisons to Die Hard, you just think, I wish I was watching Die Hard.
Yeah.
Because there's not one element of it that this film does better than Die Hard did. So for me, that's why I didn't like it.
No, I understand that. But to me, you're going to go see a film called Skyscraper. It's got The Rock in it. It's a lot like, I know you two have seen Rampage. What did you really expect from that film?
Exactly what we got.
Exactly. So I went in there expecting to see a below par Rock film, and it entertained me. So I enjoyed it. I'll never watch it again and I'll never buy it, but I liked the 2 hours I was in the cinema watching it.
The beauty of modern days is that nowadays with the cinema, you get a monthly subscription, so you can go watch as many films as you like. Technically, brilliant. I like to think of it that I saw that film for free.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm not that upset that I went to watch it. And it's a relatively short film as well. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, so it's not a massive investment of your day really to go watch it.
No. So would you recommend it to anyone? Who would you recommend it to?
I would recommend it to people who like The Rock, first and foremost, and people that just want a very linear storyline.
Me then.
Well, based on what you've heard, would you watch it?
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to just go and lose yourself for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes with a film that is essentially, I mean, it is nonsense. You know,
it's the good kind of nonsense, though.
The film spends like 20 minutes at the beginning telling you everything you need to know that's going to happen later in the film.
It's got the worst foreshadowing. There is a scene when wife and husband are talking and they'll talk about the end of the movie and you sat as an audience member going, well, that's going to come up.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's full of those little... The camera points at something in the background and you're like, right, that's going to come back.
Someone may as well wink at the camera like...
Yeah, exactly.
Nod.
Yeah. And I think we all laughed when the bad guy came on screen, like as if you did not know he was a bad guy.
Yeah, when the Englishman reveals himself as a bad guy, you go, oh no, what a twist.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so again, I think we're already in spoiler territory, so apologies if anyone hasn't seen it yet, but we're giving away the film now, which we shouldn't do.
Oh, oops.
Which is why we say we're not film reviewers technically, we just want to talk about films. So next time what we'll make sure to do is say, if you haven't seen the film, you might not want to listen to this part.
Yeah.
Because there's Skyscraper for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, let's be honest, it's not going to ruin the film for you.
No, you can still go back. You can still go and enjoy it and have fun. So, Sam, what have you been watching on Netflix?
I watched quite a few. Watched American Satan. That was pretty good.
What's that one about?
It's about a rock band that sell their souls to the devil to make it in LA.
That just sounds like the Spice Girls. I imagine that's something
pretty
that they
much.
did.
And it's got Malcolm McDowell in it. Is that his name?
Yep. You're talking about the famous Scottish
Alex
actor
from Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange.
So I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was because I had him in it. I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but he does tend to pick them sort of films up. But I quite enjoyed it.
I like to think of those films as Andy McDowell needs a new. So it's like, he needs a new TV, I'll do this film.
Yeah, pretty much. But I quite enjoyed it, to be fair. It's rock stars, drugs. It was pretty good. I watched Leatherface, not that good, just lots of gore and a backstory, which I know you're not a fan of, Aaron. Doesn't really need a backstory, but it was entertaining enough.
Okay then, backstory. So Leatherface, obviously about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember reading about John Carpenter, who has done some great movies, but at the same time has done some Ghosts of Mars, not particularly great one.
Yeah.
One of the famous bad guys to come out in the horror genre was obviously Mike Myers.
Mm-hmm.
And he said you should never feel sorry for Mike Myers. So you should never have sympathy for him because he's a pure psychopath.
Yes.
So he should have no backstory because you shouldn't be able to relate to him. Then the remake came and Rob Zombie completely forgot about that. The new remake that's being financed by, another big budget, bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis again, giving him more storyline. Why do we keep doing that to films? Why do we feel this need to explain everything?
I think it's the younger audience now. I think I think when I used to watch, I'll put it right out there that I don't particularly like horror films. Not anymore. I used to love them when I was younger. When I was kind of at college and for university, I used to love horror films. I'd seen every horror film you could think of, and I admit I enjoyed them more when this guy was doing it or this woman was doing it just because they were a psychopathic killer.
I think it's scarier.
Or a demon or a whatever it was.
I think that's what we had though back in those days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Here's your bad guy.
Just there's a bad guy and he's that's just what the story that you have been dropped into and just go with it. And then I think there's this now culture, now everyone's interested in psychology and the person must have been abused or must have been neglected or there must have been a traumatic experience that that person underwent, because we have to, like James said, relate to that person to try and understand what would drive them to do what they're doing. I don't think nowadays in modern films, here's an example of a film where that happened, not recently, but happened and it shocked everyone. The film The Strangers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when that film came out and at the end of it, and it was like, when they, again, to give that film away, horror film, it's a house invasion movie. And at the end of it, while the victims ask, like, why us? And its simple answer at the end of that movie was because you were home.
Yeah.
That was all you needed for that to be a horrific, scary film.
That made it scary, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you just, because you didn't need all that backstory line. And like you say, with the Freddy Krueger reboots, I think as well, when you're doing 6, 7, 8 of these films, like the Freddy Kruegers, like the Jason films, like the Halloween, you've got so many now, you have to start doing backstory because you're running out of things that you could put into a 90-minute feature.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree, but I always think it comes back to Scream, which was revolutionary at the time because the killers weren't supernatural, they were just two kids. And it gave them a motive and everyone thought that was a bit different. And then since then, everything's got a motive. And I'll always hark back to the Halloween films are the originals. Donald Pleasance, brilliant in it, had great realism in his acting, who framed him. He played the doctor who treated Michael Myers. You never find out why. And it's the driving focus of like 4 films is he's trying to find his sister and then he's trying to find his niece. It's brilliant. And weirdly, it's kind of well acted through Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance. But it's fantastic. And it's the action and the actors that drive the storyline, not this need to feel compelled to like Mike Myers.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think that's one thing that I did like about Leatherface. I know it was an origin story. There wasn't much, it was for this reason. The family were just psychopaths. He wasn't so much. He was, I can't do this, and then at the end picked up his power to be able to chainsaw someone or whatever. But
he picked up the magical.
Couldn't do it to start off with, but can now. But to be fair,
so it's a true underdog story.
It's a true underdog story. I was rooting for him the whole way. But yeah, I mean, it like the family who were pretty messed up in the film, they're just as messed up in this film.
So I think horror is safe to say kind of your genre, isn't it?
I think, which is the worst thing, because I'm scared of everything. Like, I love horror films, but all of them scare the crap out of me. I'm terrible with it.
In the future weeks, I suppose you'll be the horror reporter, I guess, in those kind of films, because I wouldn't necessarily go to watch a horror film at cinema.
Well, yes, and James, because I got told about a friend of mine going to see Hereditary who said he's generally thinking about counselling after seeing it.
See,
so I can't watch that on my own, James. You have to come with me.
That's interesting, because Hereditary I probably would go watch.
Oh, we've got a first outing because he's making me come. So
yeah, is it the because you hate like jump horror, don't you? Which
it's the worst.
I'm not a fan of it.
It's popcorn horror at the best. There's no
terrible.
building of atmosphere. It's just loud noise. It's terrible. Yeah. Hate it.
I don't think you'd enjoy it because I know what you're like with certain gore and stuff. The guy who's seen it did say, I didn't think they could show half of what they did on the big screen. He said that's how scred up it is. But
you see, I didn't get that premise from the trailer.
I thought it was more of a psychological, spooky, like I say, gets in your mind more than it does.
Yeah, like The Exorcist. Yeah. I know there's a bit of there's a tiny bit of going on, but that's more about your belief system and that sort of thing. I thought that's the opinion I got from it. I didn't realise I was going to be goring it.
Yeah, no, he said it's really gory, but it's just one of those, you have to have all the lights on in your house, which, to be fair, we can't go watch it because I can't afford the electricity bill here.
Because we're using all the power to get this podcast
just
going.
to do this one.
Yeah. So horror is not my favourite. James, what's your kind of movie area? What draws you into a flick?
I like a good drama or a good thriller. I think thriller is where it is. A bit of suspense in a film to keep you on the edge of your seat. I like a good storyline. I'll never pigeonhole myself to a certain genre. I mean, I quite like westerns, but I think westerns had its time. And I think it ended perfectly with the film Unforgiven. We'll talk about that at a later date. But Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of any movie. I like to give indie. I mean, the film we've all seen recently, Bigsby Bear. We would have never,
Amazing.
especially Sam, myself, Aaron, you would have probably gone to see it. We wouldn't have done, but when I saw that film, blew my mind. Loved it.
Yeah,
fantastic
absolutely.
film. Charming.
Yeah.
Absolutely charming. But yeah, I'll give anything a go except for horror because I don't get scared at movies. And if you don't get scared at a horror movie, what's the point? You're just wasting time.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I love the indie film. I like it a lot, really. I like action films, but I think predominantly for me it is the indie kind of. I like the ones where the director is more in charge of the film. Less of the kind of big budget explosions and that kind of stuff.
It's almost as if you're talking about a certain director.
Yeah, there are certain directors that I preference over others.
I think we should never mention his name because every time we mention his name, he gains more power.
Yes.
Because Sam's about to ask who it is.
Michael Bay.
Oh.
Right, you've just funded another Transformers
I'm
movie.
sorry. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Yeah, so I like all films really, but I wouldn't tend to go towards. Then again, I think I think I don't see myself as a sci-fi fan, but I love the Star Wars films, and and I like.
Do you think it's because Star Wars aren't really sci-fi? I know if you think about it, they're World War II films set in space. It's the Imperial Empires, the Nazis, the Resistance, the Rebels.
I tell you what, I like a thriller.
Everyone likes a thriller.
I like a thriller. I like a whodunit. A style of the clues are there. You've kind of got to figure it out before the end of the film.
I like them unless I watch them with you because you get it within before the screen name comes on. You'll have got it just by seeing who's the biggest actor.
I was going to say you can usually do it based on who's the actor.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're watching a film and there's an actor that you sort of recognise but you don't know their name, it's usually them.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
he's been in a lot.
Yeah, you go. Oh, he's been in a lot, and he died off first.
Yeah.
No, that means he's faked his death so he can kill you all. That's why.
And there are certain codes behind it as well. It's like, this guy's been. We're 50 minutes into the film, and this guy's made his second appearance. It's him.
It's him.
There are telltale signs. But I remember watching when I was growing up. Like Seven, and being like,
good film.
God, that is such a good film. And then I read a lot of thriller crime novels and that kind of stuff as well. So I like.
There's that film that's on Now TV, The Snowman. Have you seen it?
We'll do a whole podcast on The Snowman at some point.
Okay, good.
And the issues with that film. Right, we are talking about bad films more than good films. So has anyone seen any decent films recently? This is the pilot episode, and we've gone straight in with don't like this. We sound like a bunch of miserable idiots.
I liked Skyscraper,
but for all the wrong reasons, James.
It's still all right. Central Intelligence, which I saw on Netflix again.
I saw that last week as well.
Like that.
With The Rock in it.
Yeah, it's got a Rock.
You're fanboying right now, aren't you?
I'm a little bit because The Rock strikes me as a sort of person that would retweet this.
Oh yeah.
So
no, he wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't. No. I saw Central Intelligence. You said films I liked. I like that. The only other film I've seen recently is Ghostbusters, and I don't really want to talk about it right now.
Yeah. I think with films, you either go on a streak of greatness,
yes,
and you watch film after film where you're like, this is brilliant, and everything you seem to put on, it's like you kind of just hone in on those films.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you watch the duff one that you don't enjoy, and then it's really hard to get back into that rhythm of, films that you really like. Over the last month, I watched Mother, which I know that you've watched recently, Sam.
Yeah. Well, no,
I thought that was incredible, really good, really interesting film, really different. Again, that's what I like, when a director really kind of takes the helm of a film and has a clear vision of what he wants to achieve or she to achieve, and kind of just drives the film. And that's an example of that. It's a Darren Aronofsky film. I watched Hunt for the Wilder People, which I loved. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I watched Whiplash again.
I love Whiplash.
Just incredible film.
I did need to rewatch that film. It was so good.
Yeah.
I remember going to the cinema with a friend, and we went to an unseen screening. And I love those type of things. You go there not knowing what to see. And we sat down and you saw all these trailers, and then it came on, Whiplash. And I knew a tiny bit about it, but my friend hadn't, because my friend's not too big into movies. The person sat in front of us, as soon as the title came up, they left. Yeah. And then I remember 2 hours later thinking, that person's just missed out on such a great film. Yeah. J.K. Simmons, brilliant.
Yeah, Whiplash is available on Netflix. If you do have it, I would definitely recommend hunting a copy of Whiplash down.
Any day. How you can make such a suspenseful film about drums.
Especially the ending. And I'm not ruining anything, but that ending is both cringe-inducing, but at the same time quite inspiring. You're like, go on, son.
It really does elect emotions out of you. It does, like you say, get your heart beating and kind of...
It's definitely edge of the seat stuff.
Yeah, it is. And like you say, for a context on paper, you'd think it's about...
It's a drummer.
Yeah, it's about a young aspiring musician who goes to a musical college or institute in New York, which is famous for churning out kind of legends in the field. And like I say, he kind of goes under the wing of a quite psychopathic music teacher, played by J.K. Simmons, who won the Best Supporting Oscar for the role. So
Deservedly Absolutely.
Definitely check out Whiplash if you get the chance. I have this thing with films of greatness where it really annoys me when people watch when it's on and they get the phone out every 2 seconds. So
when we saw, yes, completely agree with you.
If you're gonna watch Whiplash, make sure you've got 2 hours free. Turn your phone off. Make sure there's no interruptions and just really enjoy it. And also if you can get access to Brigsby Beer, I'd say do the same.
Yeah.
Hunt for the World of People, I absolutely loved. I think again, you do well to hunt down
that's on Netflix,
a copy of that as
well.
What
is that about?
Hunt for the World of People is it's the young lad who's in Deadpool 2.
Okay.
It's one of his films. It's a New Zealand film, and he's a young lad.
That's the guy who played Korg in.
Yeah. So the director of the film played Korg in the Thor Ragnarok film, and he directed that film as well. I'm going to butcher his name, so if anyone can jump in.
Wiki.
No, Watiti's his surname. It's his first name. I can never pronounce. I'm really sorry. That sounds really bad. So yeah, the Hunt for the World of People is about a young boy who's bouncing from foster home to foster home. He eventually gets reassigned. It's kind of his last option before he goes into kind of an institution. And it's with Sam Neill and Sam Neill's wife in the film, who are kind of live out in the sticks, rural New Zealand, hunt off the land, live off the land kind of scenario. And something happens which causes this young lad to run into the woods and try and lose himself. Sam Neill goes in after him, and then it's an hour of just joy of these two working with each other to survive in the wilderness. They get involved as part of a manhunt. There's the wilderness that they've got to fight against, the elements. It's just a really beautiful, funny film.
Oh, brilliant. I'll try that.
I like a film that uses a location such as New Zealand or uses those kind of nice locations where you're like, oh, I'd really like to go there. That film's set in like Alaska or, in places in Europe and stuff. I like world films like that.
You see, Will, I feel the opposite in a different way. It's more small screen. I think the TV series True Detective, the first season, its setting in Louisiana and those states, they made it such a bad place. It made me invested in it. Like, how can you survive it? But I know what you mean. The location can play such a massive part in the feel of a film or TV series.
Because I've got this kind of feeling with New York. I get a bit bored of another film in New York.
New York,
I think superhero films saturate New York completely. But the more I think about it, the big action blockbusters that always seem to be centered around New York. And I like it now when I see a film that's set. If
New York's so great, why isn't it the state capital? I saw that in a film once. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I like location films. That's a long way around of saying that I don't like horror.
Again with that.
Now, because it's our pilot episode, our first episode recording the podcast, I came across something a few weeks back that I've kept secret up until really today. So James and Sam are both prepared for what's about to happen. We're going to play like a little bit of a game, and it's the classic thing that everyone does when they've had a few beers and they sat around with their friends and they start making a list of these are my favorite films for different genres. Now, the significance to this game is that I found a previous attempt at this list, which I think we wrote 10 years ago. So Sam's very quietly getting his list of films out.
I don't want to rustle the paper.
You can rustle paper on a podcast, it's fine. So I found this. I was going through a bunch of bills and documents at home, like shredding stuff, and I found this. It had in the bottom corner, it said Her Majesty's Service.
So it was an official.
It's an official document.
Official document,
which came from Sam's place of work.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Sam works for the prison service. I thought, what's this doing in my house? And then when I turned it over, it was folded, and on the other side was a smiley face.
Oh yeah.
That someone had changed the nose to it was a penis.
Who did that?
So at this point, I thought, right, it's an important document that Sam has had his hands on. And then when I opened it up, I don't know how this found its way into my bills and all that kind of stuff. It was this list, and I remember doing it. We used to have Sam and I used to live together in a bit of a party house where we would watch films all the time.
Yep.
And stay up to late hours. And one night, the three of us must have got together. I think it's about 10 years old, this list, because looking at the films that are on the list, the newest one I can find is about the 2008 timeline. So we're looking at about a 10-year-old list. So the game is very simple. I'm going to ask you what you think 10 years ago was your favorite film for 10 genres. So we've got action, thriller, indie, romance, comic book, etc. And I want to see if you can remember what you put 10 years ago as your favorite film.
Yeah.
You'll get 1 point for that if you get it right.
Okay.
Now, because I can't play the game because I'm hosting, if you can guess what I put, I'm going to give you 2 points. So there's a potential here to earn 30 points. If it's a draw at the end of this, I've got some tiebreak questions as well based on the list. So it's a game to 30, see who gets the closest. And also, one other thing I should say about the list is, in fact, no, I won't. I'll wait till we get going because there's a few hidden gems in there.
The terrible thing about this is I do not remember the films we've mentioned in this podcast. How am I supposed to remember something I said 10 years ago? I've had a beer since then.
I'm fairly-ish confident-ish.
There's a couple of real humdingers in here. Now, also,
I would like to apologise for myself 10 years ago if I've picked some travesties.
And the word humdinger.
I'm already predicting that your list will almost be identical. I think you'll get most of them right.
Oh, that's right.
And I also think that if I say, what has any of them changed in the last 10 years, I think you're going to say no. I think it's going to be pretty. But with Sam, I think you might not get your list right because you're already saying that.
I've got a funny feeling that when you read Sam's out, his actual answers, he still won't remember the film.
And I also think your whole list would have changed in the last 10 years based on films you've seen recently.
Yeah, well, the films I've wrote on this list that I think I've wrote, I don't think I've seen. So
okay, so there's a lot of thinks going on. Dead simple. Name of the game. Can you remember what you put 10 years ago? And just for conversation, if it's changed, let's just have a conversation around that.
Sweet.
Essentially. So the first category, which was on the list, is action. So 10 years ago, James, what did you say was your favourite action film?
I'm going to go with Die Hard.
Sam, 10 years ago, what did you say was your favourite action film?
Die Hard.
And what did you both put as what I thought was my favourite action film 10 years ago?
But weirdly, I've put Die Hard, but I've got a funny feeling it might be... No, it's Die Hard.
No, it's Die Hard. It is Die Hard.
Right. So it is Die Hard. James, 10 years ago, you did not put Die Hard.
Dun, dun, dun.
Did I put Face Off?
No. So the correct answer for you, James, 10 years ago, you put Man on Fire.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is a good film.
It is a good film, but it's not as good as Die Hard.
It's not
Which
as
is
good as
weird
Die
because
Hard.
Die Hard hasn't come out in the last 10 years.
No, Die Hard's been around for a long time, James, and everyone knows that the moment you watch Die Hard, it becomes your favourite film.
So you said, I don't think any of yours would have changed and blah, blah, blah. Damn, that's disappointing.
Yeah, red herring. Red
Mine
herring.
are all completely different.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, we all put Die Hard as our favourite film, bar James.
This is the one time I'm going to be ahead in this game, James. So.
But let's not deny that Man on Fire is a
good
brilliant
film. Amazing film.
It's a great film. But yeah, James, you only get the 2 points for getting my answer right.
Oh, I forgot.
Man on Fire or Taken?
Man on Fire.
Taken.
It's my favourite action movie.
I'm Man on Fire with James.
I know Taken for me, circumstance. When I watched that film, me and our mutual friend Kareem we was in Nottingham, and I think we'd had a few beers, and it was like, look, what's this Liam Neeson film? Let's go watch it. And we were blown away by watching it. It was just, we were both hooked. So for me, the memory of watching Taken makes it, for me, better than Man on Fire.
No, I'm with you, James. I'm going Man on Fire.
I love Man on Fire. Creasy Bear.
So the second category was thriller. So James, what did you think your favourite thriller was 10 years ago?
Silence of the Lambs.
And Sam, what do you think yours was?
7.
Interesting. You both got that right.
Oh.
Yeah, 10 years ago, James, you put Silence of the Lambs. Sam, you put 7. What do you think my favourite thriller is?
Right, I think I've mucked up here because I've gone Mystic River.
Okay.
I went for 7.
Sam gets another 2 points.
Boom.
People would have recognised about 5 minutes ago in the podcast, I talked about how good the film 7 was.
Yeah, no, I know, but I did this list before we started the podcast.
Do you know what's really worrying? That Silence of the Lambs that you guessed was his for thriller. I put down for horror for him. So
No, that's what I mean. I think I've screwed the list up.
Now, as a disclaimer, I will say, I think there might be one or two on here that someone could argue, well, that's not a thriller or that's not. I'm not saying that's one of them.
Well, then they should be listening to an actual podcast.
Well, this was just 10 years ago as well. Let's be honest.
we was probably very drunk.
So the third option of filming now was indie or low budget or well, not low budget, yeah, indie film, kind of different outside of Hollywood, really.
Yeah.
10 years ago, what did you put, James?
I went with Adventureland, and I'm not proud of it.
And Sam, what did you put?
I went for Men Who Stare at Goats.
You're both right again. 10 years ago.
By the way,
Adventureland
that's one I would definitely change.
And Men Who See It. What would you change to now?
Bigsby Bear.
Bigsby Bear.
Yeah.
If you have not seen Bigsby Bear,
Seriously.
Please go watch
you
it.
have to go watch this film.
You know what? If you had to review it, you'd give it 10 fingers, which
Yeah.
means nothing. But then again, our rating system means nothing.
No, yeah.
10 fingers out of jelly beans.
I'd
give them 3 jelly beans, mate.
I describe that film as it's a hug.
Yes.
It's a hug of a movie.
Oh, that's lovely.
What did I put for my favourite indie
I've
movie
got
10 years ago?
Adventureland because I got nothing.
I also put Adventureland for you.
No, Into the Wild.
No.
That's so annoying because I thought that and I was like, no, that's been out.
No.
Sean Penn. Oh, I love that film. I love that
That's
film.
so irritating because I did think that, but I just thought no.
Yeah. Again, someone might argue that that's not technically an indie film, but yeah, I mean, to me, yeah.
I wanted them points.
And I wouldn't change that now. Them 3 so far, I wouldn't change for me. 10 years on.
He's beaten me.
Yeah, I think I'd stay with it.
Now, this is a good one. Romance.
Right.
And again, questionable why any of us put what we put in these 10 years ago, we would have been a bit more emo, I think.
Oh,
Yeah?
then that's worrying because all right.
We was. I don't think James was. I don't think you've changed at all in 10 years.
I think I've lost hair. That's about it.
So in the romance category, Sam, what did 20-year-old Sam say was his favourite romantic film?
Nah, I was stuck between. Was it Romeo and Juliet?
Is that what you're going for?
Yeah,
What was your other option?
Moulin Rouge.
You're wrong on both accounts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Musical though, you like? Oh no, Romeo and Juliet. Was that a musical?
No,
it wasn't. Was it?
No.
There was someone with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, it's the Claire Danes film.
Danes.
Claire Danes one.
Oh, it's delightful that.
I
delightful.
don't really remember it. I've seen it. I don't remember it.
No, neither of those. I'm going to hold it for
wow.
a second because I'm really interested to see what James put.
Well, I think I've got Casablanca.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, is it?
This is shocking.
What?
Well, 10 years ago, James,
Yeah.
you put Enchanted.
I love Enchanted. I love Enchanted. Do you know what? I'm disappointed in myself, and I kind of want to take
I cannot believe
Casablanca out for Enchanted.
Casablanca, you couldn't be any further off.
Have you seen Enchanted? It's delightful.
Just
I've
yeah.
never seen Casablanca either, so it's fine.
Wow, poles apart, really. So a lot's happened in 10 years
so
in
you
the
were
romance
full
front.
of shit earlier when you said, James, I think you'll get most of your spot on.
Emo woozy. I love it.
Yeah.
For the record, Enchanted, brilliant film.
What was mine?
I'm Sam.
Oh, what a
I'm
film.
Sam, yeah.
I am Sam.
Do you like just for the name?
It's
a brilliant film.
Still
God,
cry to it.
I would honestly weep like a child if I watched that now.
Yeah.
I really hate me like 10 years ago.
Dakota Fanning in that film was amazing. Sean Penn was incredible.
What's wrong with Enchanted? Seriously. Sorry, I can't get over that.
Well, it's not Casablanca, is it, James? That's
not,
what's lost you the
I
points.
think you'll find Casablanca's no Enchanted.
What did I put for romance film? Now, this is one where it could be multiple categories.
But I've gone While You Were Sleeping, based on a conversation you and I had the other day.
No, but
Did you see?
I love While You Were Sleeping.
That's why I thought I would have hoped to put While You Were Sleeping. We'll talk about that. I love that film.
I put The Notebook.
The Notebook.
Yeah.
Now,
Did you put 27 Dresses?
no. I love Ryan Gosling.
I know. That's why I went for
Love
it.
Ryan Gosling. He's got a nice beard in it and he does that house up in that film. And I've always thought,
It's lovely.
I'd like to know a bit more DIY after watching that.
That's the purpose of the film.
But no, I didn't put that neither.
Oh, dear.
What'd you say?
While You Were Sleeping.
While You're Sleeping, a brilliant film with Bill Pullman and Sandra Bullock. If you ever get a chance to watch it, that is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
That's another hug of a movie.
I think it's a hug and a squeeze.
It's a hug, a squeeze, and it's wearing your favourite socks. That is Why You Were Sleeping.
Mate, that's a review.
I was going to say
They need to re-release that with that quote on.
Yeah. I'm going to hunt that down. I'm going to try and get a screening of that in
So
Lincoln.
what was it?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, no.
Damn it.
So if you put that
I've
later
got
down the
that.
list, I'm sorry, that's what I put as my romance option.
Right, so I've got.
I don't know if you just heard that, but someone kicked the table in fury.
Right, so I've now got to come up with a different one for your all-time great.
You've got to think quick. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I absolutely adore that film. Right then, comic book. Now this is the one that I think might have changed a lot in the last 10 years. So what did you put 10 years ago, James?
I think this is a clean sweep for all of us. Is it The Dark Knight?
The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
I've got you as a Dark Knight.
Yeah, it has to
you
be.
as well.
Yeah, it has to.
Wicked.
Dark Knight is to this day is probably top 2.
As I say, it's not actually changed for me. Dark Knight's perfect for me.
It's such a good film.
Maybe some of the later like Avengers, the last Avengers.
No,
film,
actually, tell
but
lies.
to be
Dark
fair,
Knight.
I'm still going
It's
to Dark
Dark
Knight.
Knight. Yeah, it just incredible film. I
Sporting cast.
yeah,
Exquisite.
I was lucky to see that in New York about a week before it came out over here. And when I got back, I was like, "Oh, it's so good, it's so good." And then I think it's the first film I can remember going to watch twice.
I saw it 3 times on its opening day. I went with you as well.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Dark Knight across the board. Okay, comedies then. So
Right.
10 years ago, Sam, what did you say your favourite comedy was?
Pineapple Express.
And has it changed?
No. It's between that and This Is the End now. Same cast, just slightly different film.
Yeah, both of them films. This Is the End at the cinema. I couldn't breathe laughing.
I was crying.
It was so good. That's one of them films as well that I'm a bit, sometimes whoever I'm talking to, I'm a bit like, if I say, oh, it's such a good film, I'm worried that they'll judge me because some of the jokes are so kind of so
on the
rude
nose,
and-
let's put it
yeah,
PC.
yeah. I mean, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's probably Michael Cera's best performance.
I like Michael Cera and he's brilliant in it.
Yeah, correct. James, what did you put? Best comedy 10 years ago.
Right. Based on, I'm going to Big Lebowski because it's one of my favourite films of all time and it's a comedy. So I'm going to Big Lebowski.
Correct.
Yes.
Has it changed?
No, it's still all-time great. It's also one of the films I've got left that, hasn't been tainted by allegations.
Yeah.
So
I think we all get points for this. I don't think there's anything to be embarrassed about now. So what did you put as my favourite comedy?
Meet the Parents.
No.
Oh,
I'm absolutely amazed that you say that.
I thought it was Meet the Parents because you always talk about it like being great. I'm annoyed.
I do think it's a good film, but it's by no means they're great.
I'm so annoyed because I threw a bit of a pissy about this earlier and just put Zoolander. But now he said that, it's Wedding Crashers, isn't it?
Oh, close. No. Well, Wedding Crashers more so than Zoolander. I loved Wedding Crashers again when I saw that. No, I've gone for true comedy. I've gone for a Gene Wilder film.
Is it Hear No Evil, See No Evil?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Damn, that's after the fact. So
Because and this is why I say that is because that is the only comedy that is funny on paper, as well as.
I remember us having this conversation 10 years ago.
If you read the concept of what The Big Lebowski is, or what the concept of Wedding Crashers or Pineapple Express is, that's fine. It might encourage you to watch it. You read what a blurb about See No Evil, Hear No Evil. It's funny, and I'm like, I've got to see that. I've got to see this film, and I just thought it was absolutely brilliant, and still to this day.
These are very funny. I prefer Stir Crazy. Of those two, I just think it's so. But no, I get your point. On paper, to wrongfully accuse people go to prison.
So again,
end up in a rodeo, that kind of thing. It's not really
saying
funny.
Stir Crazy because it's Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor again.
Brilliant film.
Yeah,
no, I'll give you that. I'm devastated because I thought it was Meet the Parents. I genuinely thought I got that one. I'm getting my ass kicked.
There's still this is where I think you're going to make it back. I think you're going to make it back now all the way to the end. I think you're going to go for a clean sweep. So horror.
Well,
so this is where you're going to go against him because he's seen a lot more horror in the last 10 years. So his opinion could have changed and been muddled.
Mine has changed because I was trying to think back to when we wrote this, and we wrote this a bit later than I thought we did because I remember going through a stage of watching Pathology like a couple of times a week because I was obsessed with it. So that's what I wrote, but I don't think it is now.
It's not that. No, it's not. It's not Pathology. 10 years ago, Sam, you went for 28 Weeks Later.
I love that film.
Ironic, Sam, because when we watched that together, you fell asleep.
I've seen it since.
You fell asleep and you left me in the film on my own.
I was tired, man.
And I had to hide under a duvet. Literally hide under a duvet while the film was on. It's horrible. It's a horrible film.
It is. But
Are you saying 20? I get confused between
28 Weeks Later. That's the Robert Carlyle is the Weeks one. Yeah. The Peaky Blinders bloke was
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy was
awesome.
Yeah.
I just loved everything down to the music and everything was fantastic.
Well, the first one had Christopher Eccleston in, didn't it?
He did as the army general, army colonel or something.
Yeah, so I quite didn't mind the first one.
As I recall, I like them both, but it's one of those films that I can't distinguish between them, to be fair.
Yeah.
Robert Carlyle turns into a zombie quite early on.
Very early on.
Yes,
Yeah. I suppose that's quite unique.
I was just saying, it does that thing where it tricks you by having the main character.
Actually, just off the subject real quick. So one of my old jobs, we used to rely a lot on volunteers to help us run. It was a fitness center. It was a gym. So Yeah, so there was one of the volunteers. He was ex-army, so he's an ex-military bloke. And I don't know whether you know, but actually, when you have finished, when you've been in the army, enter Sharpie Sharpington. Yeah, so in the when you've been in the military and you've retired and you're back in the public, you actually get an invitation to go into films to be stand-ins for any, so if it's a military-based film, if they need a platoon of soldiers, or if they need someone to, look like an intimidating army soldier, then they actually hire.
Is it because it's the way they stand, the way
they know inside out. Yeah,
that bit of authenticity.
Yeah. So he was actually called in to 28 Weeks Later, and he's in one of the scenes. I think someone says to him, have you got a pass or something like that? And he actually had a line in it. So that's my 28 Weeks Later story.
Fantastic.
Okay, so Woozy, what was your horror film back then?
I'm fairly certain, because I don't like horror, there's only a series of films I've ever liked that were horror-based, and there's only the first three. There's only the first two. They're the Hellraiser films. I'm going Hellraiser 2, Hell on Earth.
What was it called?
I think it's Hellraiser 2. I know Hellbound. It's called Hellbound.
That's right. Yeah, you get your points for that. Yeah, 10 years ago you put Hellraiser 2, Hellbound.
Hasn't changed. Brilliant. Scary as hell. Both those films, to be fair. It's just the second one, I just like the storyline a bit better. Yeah, but to me, terrifying.
What do you think my favourite horror was 10 years ago?
I've gone Nightmare on Elm Street. Because I know it sounds very stupid because Johnny Depp's in it, and he just went, Johnny Depp, Nightmare on Elm Street's quite scary. I've gone with that, but I've actually just realised while speaking I know what it is. I'll let you go first, and if I could have another guess.
I put Silence of the Lambs.
Isn't it Psycho?
No, but both of them would be, that would probably be my number 2 and number 3. My actual is still to this day The Shining.
Oh, how do we not get that? Stephen King.
Stephen King doesn't even like his own film.
I know Stephen King doesn't like that film, but I love Jack Nicholson in that film. Right, we've got 3 left, so it's all to play for then.
It is,
number 8 was sci-fi. So 10 years ago, Sam, what did you say was your favourite sci-fi film?
You see, I couldn't think, so I put Star Wars. That's what it is now. It wasn't 10 years ago.
It wasn't 10 years ago.
No.
It was you're the wrong franchise.
You went with the remake of Star Trek.
I did. You just introduced me to him.
The remake of Star Trek you put as your favourite film 10 years ago.
At the time, I'd just seen it.
When we're talking about things that have changed since, Star Wars is probably the most significant change in the last 10 years.
Because it'd be Star Wars for all of them, bar Die Hard.
Yeah. So Star Wars, thinking back...
I don't think it would.
Yeah, I love Star Wars, man.
I don't know what happened at some point where we became obsessed with Star Wars, but something in the last kind of 3 or 4 years.
That's just
Yeah. I'm talking about me and Sam here, James. Yeah, that's quite bizarre.
He's too busy watching Enchanted, mate.
Yeah.
Right. No. Right, we're going to watch Enchanted, and I think you find it right. I like Enchanted.
James, why don't you tell us what your favourite sci-fi film was 10 years ago?
I'm going Event Horizon.
Good film. You like Sam Neill, don't you?
I do like Sam Neill. Everyone likes Sam Neill.
You're wrong, though.
Right. Is it Aliens or Alien?
Alien.
Oh, damn it. I thought it might be. I'm devastated.
Yeah, Alien.
Because that's what I've got for yours. For yours, I've got Aliens, the sequel.
I got Alien for his.
Oh, wow.
Oh. It's neither. It's Alien 3.
It's neither. It's neither of them 2 films. Alien over Aliens. So I don't know who said which one.
Oh, I said Alien.
I went with Aliens, but I prefer Aliens.
Yeah, Alien out of them 2. But no, E.T.
Fair enough.
I can't. It bores me watching it now.
E.T. every day of the week.
If you can hear any random noises, by the way, in the background, it's just Sharpie. Just ignore it.
And then number 9 was bad movie. Your favourite bad movie 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm not proud of this. I'm fairly certain.
I think you're only allowed half a point for this.
Right, so I've got 3.
Why is it? Because it's quite a good film.
No, because I gave him the answer 2 nights ago accidentally.
Oh, right.
We weren't talking about this, but he was talking about film and he was struggling.
One of my favourite bad movies of all time. I know for a fact it's got Steven Seagal in it.
It's that much of his favourite. He can't remember the name of it.
Because it's a bad movie. Now, I can't remember. And I don't get me wrong. I don't think it's good in any way, but it's something that draws me to it. But I can't remember if it's a film called Half Past Dead or Exit Wounds. I think I've written Half Past Dead down, which is stupid because I'm talking about the film Exit Wounds. This is what we were talking about. I was trying to remember which one was which. So I'm going Half Past Dead. That's what I'm going for. That's my final answer.
It was Exit Wounds.
Fucking hell.
I even told you that 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, you was like, "Oh yeah, my favourite worst film," and I was like, "Right, I've just seen this list." And then you was like, "It's called Half Past Dead," and I went, "No, it's called Exit Wounds." And you went, "Oh yeah, that's it." Because it's got DMX in it.
It has got DMX in
Half Past Dead is the one where he's on Alcatraz.
Yes,
and
I know, but-
they kill it. They electrocute him,
It's not
and
my
he
fault
doesn't actually die.
They're
That's
both
why they
so
call it Half
bad.
Past Dead.
So it was exit wounds. That's
Now,
those
Sam,
things.
you've got even more explaining to do, mate. What was going on 10 years ago? Favorite bad movie?
Was it Brain Dead?
I've got.
I hate that film.
Was
No,
it, was
Was
it
it?
Shrooms?
good pull, but no.
Oh,
Batman and Robin.
Oh,
So you're
fair
admitting to
enough.
liking that film 10 years
No,
ago?
no,
I
because
still
I'm going
like
to stick
it
off.
today.
I'm going to stick off from this one because Batman and Robin's a bad film that you can rewatch.
Yeah.
Don't mean you have to like
Oh my
it.
god, Aaron's just turned like red with rage.
Oh man, Batman and Robin. No, two terrible films. Right, I'm going to show you a bad good film. Right, what did you put for mine?
Mad Max Thunderdome.
Tina Turner. I like it, but wrong.
Masters of the Universe.
classic, but wrong. Dolph Lundgren's most believable performance is He-Man. No, Punisher Warzone.
Oh, he's one of them films because there's been a better Punisher out since then. I've forgotten about
Yeah, Punisher Warzone, the sequel to the Punisher, the Ray Stevenson film. If you ever get a chance to watch that, that to me is the best bad film going. And probably still to this day.
What about exit wounds?
Anyway, all-time great. Last category. This is the last chance to get some points. Let's go with, I think you're trailing, James. So let's go with your favourite 10 years ago. What was it?
All-time great. LA Confidential.
Yeah, that's what you put.
That won't change.
That won't change, no.
I don't think that'll ever change.
Sam, I think you're going to kick yourself with this one.
Usual Suspects. What?
I was going to say, you might want to speak into the mic when you say your answer.
Yeah, Usual Suspects, but I think I know what I put.
What do you think you put?
Warriors.
You did put Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warriors was your all-time great. Have you been keeping tally all the way through this?
Yeah, we've still got to do yours.
Yes, I was just going to see if it came down to this. What
Wait,
are we
I've got
on?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
People add up scores.
I've got 10.
I got 11.
Oh, so it does come
So
down to
if
this.
he gets it wrong and I get it right, the thing is though, I'll let Sam go first because
So
Because
for
he's
the-
got about 4 answers written down.
So,
No,
so Woozy to win has to get this right. Sam has to get it wrong. So what did you put for my
I
all-time
was
great?
getting very, very angry at this point and just wrote Jaws. I know it's not, but I just wrote Jaws because I was getting Mardy.
Jaws is a great film, but it was not.
No, I
it
know,
wasn't
mate.
my
I know,
option.
I know.
Right. So based on the answers that you've given, I know what I think I know what yours is because my answer for another one earlier in the thing. So I'm not going to get the points anyway because I've written down Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, which was your romance. So after Jiggity Pokery, it's Mystic River, isn't it?
It is Mystic River.
Yeah. So I can't get the points for that. So Sam wins.
Yes.
Sam takes the win.
Oh,
Mystic River is the all-time great in my category. We did have a bonus question lined up. So out of all them films,
Oh, that's fair. If you give me 1 point for getting it right,
actually,
technically, it's still a draw.
to be fair, you deducted points for exit wing, so I'm not having it. Actually, Sam, you
I didn't
very-
count exit
I'm very
wins.
forgiving giving you Batman and Robin, to be fair. I was going to ask, as a bonus question, if you could get it off the list, what's the oldest film? I'll give you a clue. There's two, and they both came out in 1979.
Yeah, Warriors
He's one of them.
and Alien.
He's the other one.
Fucking hell,
Sam
well
racking
played.
the scores. James with the language, eh?
Sorry.
How dare you?
What would the newest film be on that
Is it
list?
Enchanted?
What year did Enchanted come out?
Oh, no.
Because I don't think it is. I don't think it is the newest.
Is it
out of-
Adventureland? The only reason I said that is because Adventureland isn't. When I look back on it now, I don't even really like it.
I'll
that
double
much.
check, but I think off the list of my memory, it's the Star Trek film.
Oh yeah, that would
Yeah,
make. That was
yeah.
I think the Star
2009.
Trek's
It was
2009, and I
yeah.
think the others were before that. So Sam takes the win. That was unexpected.
So I've actually
me
lost
too.
to Sam
Yeah, sorry, mate. I wasn't expecting that.
because I thought I had better taste in movies than I did. Well, I really hate 10 years ago, James.
I thought I had a lot worse taste in music.
Seriously, I'm really
Music
annoyed by
movies.
Die Hard because I thought Die Hard was a clean sweep. That's the one that we've all written down. Everyone we've all guessed was Die Hard. I went with Man on Fire.
The moment you mentioned it, we all went, well,
Actually,
at least
yeah.
we've got 1 point with
Yeah.
Die Hard. Sound? I love that.
Okay, so quite a surprising win, really.
Absolutely. I wasn't expecting that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not a betting man, but I would have put my money on James.
I'm still bitter.
Sorry,
Stop
mate.
it.
I apologise.
I hadn't prepared any reward or prize or trophy.
No trophies.
Nothing like that, I'm
God
afraid.
damn you.
But thinking about it, Sam, why don't you have the honour of theming our second podcast? So it's up to you. What do you want the second podcast to be around, focused on? I bet it's something horror related.
Yeah, it will be. Are you sure you trust me with this?
Not really, but you won the game, mate, and we didn't buy a trophy. So.
I thought it would be quite a good one, actually, because we all fell into this at the time. The zombie craze. Because when you think that was, what, a couple of years ago, maybe? Maybe a little bit longer. That went absolutely huge, didn't it? I mean, every book, every film, every TV show.
Still going, isn't it? Walking Dead,
Resident Evil games.
Absolutely, it'll come back out. I think it'd be quite cool to maybe, if we've got a bit of time between now and then, go back, watch some old Night of the Living Dead, some of the new ones. I watched the new Day of the Dead. And then obviously...
So zombies next week?
I'm happy to go zombies.
I'd say go zombies.
Yeah. So week 2 we'll do everything you need to know about zombies, essentially.
Can we get dressed up?
For a podcast, absolutely.
I'm dressed up
right now.
None of you can see, but trust me.
Yeah.
We are.
So zombies next week. I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
I'm going to go classic. I'm going to go the old school ones. I want to, go into the original Night of the Living Deads, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, Netflix did one recently. Is it called Cargo?
With
mate. Martin Freeman.
Mate, I was just about to say that.
I'm going to watch that.
By a 7-minute Australian film that was expanded into the... was it Martin Freeman?
It's Martin Freeman.
Yeah, it's Martin Freeman, yeah.
Yeah,
get it watched, James. It's phenomenal.
Right, so I will do that. And yeah, you've seen it, haven't you, Sam?
Yes, I've seen it, yeah.
Positive thoughts?
More than positive. It was fantastic.
Great. A big fan of Martin Freeman as well. So we've got a few minutes left. Let's end with, let's just look at that list then. Maybe we could pick maybe a top 5 off the list or some absolute key films. I don't know what you're thinking about.
There's plenty on there.
I think this podcast needs to immortalise some of these films. We'll be talking about some great films coming up, and we should have a list of films you've got to see. And it's the Sorry You're in My Seat podcast, the ultimate list, the vault.
Oh, I like the vault.
Where we put the precious films to us.
I love a list. Let's do this.
So I think it's time for us to add the first inductees to the vault.
Oh, Aaron, I'd like you to go first on this one.
What films did we talk about on the list? Come on, hit us with some.
I mean, I've got the final list here. I'm going to save some for another podcast because undoubtedly Die Hard is in the top 100 films.
I think Die Hard needs its own special ceremony.
Yeah, but there are some absolute blinders on here. So, we had Seven, we had The Dark Knight, Big Lebowski, Warriors, I'm Sam, The Shining, Mystic River. I mean, Into the Wild, Eternal Sunshine. There's plenty. If I was to pick one of these that I think people need to see and that goes in the vault, I think from my list, I'd seriously see no evil, hear no evil for me.
Right. So
I didn't think you'd go comedy.
Yeah, I just...
Oh, okay.
So one of the rules for the vault is I think all three of us should have seen it and agreed.
I 100% agree.
So I've seen See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Mm-hmm. Sam?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like we need a gavel.
We do.
I have a gavel.
If only we
I'll
knew
get it
someone
out
with a
for next
gavel.
That wasn't a setup for that, actually. I forgot you had a gavel. I think See No Evil, Hear No Evil. For me... it's just so funny. I think we don't get that level of comedy anymore. I'm a massive fan of Gene Wilder, and I always will be. Just the other day I was talking to someone about Blazing Saddles. Producers is coming out 50th anniversary.
5th of August.
It's coming out on the 5th of August, 50th anniversary. One night screening.
And I'm away that weekend.
Young Frankenstein. The Willy Wonka.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah.
I love Gene Wilder, and so to me, I'm putting that in there. I'm putting that as off this list. But to be fair, even if I don't say it today, I'm pretty certain next week or the week after we'll talk about a film that was on this list anyway. So I'm putting that out there.
So
I might chip in again. So let someone else go.
Okay.
Well, no, I think as an inductee, as the first list in the vault,
wins.
Say No Evil, Hear No Evil. I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right, first list. First name on the list, I apologise.
Okay.
See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Fantastic.
Right, so Aaron, that was your first one. Sam, you got any?
You see, this is a hard one because out of them, there's two I would bang in there. Seven, which we've all seen.
I've seen
we
Seven.
We can all agree it is one of the best thrillers of all time. But I Am Sam. But the problem is, it's going to be hard getting a vote because I know you've not seen it.
I've not seen it, so I can't vote.
But even just saying it makes me well up.
Have you got it?
I do.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
yeah.
I will watch it and
mate.
we will vote on it. It will be in an oncoming ballot.
Can I watch it with you? And can we cuddle?
Okay.
For anyone who's not seen I Am Sam is this lovely film where Sean Penn, it's a father-daughter film with Sean Penn and Dakota Fanning. Dakota Fanning is roughly about 7 years old in the film, I think. It has been a while since I've seen it. Sean Penn plays someone with learning difficulties who has the mental age of an 8-year-old, roughly in the film. And the moral dilemma in the film is that his daughter, who is soon to be 8 or 9 years, will have a further thinking than he will. And the film is about, is he the right person to bring up the child, or should she be taken from him? It's a real emotional roller coaster.
I wish everybody could see the goosebumps I've got just talking about it. It's beautiful.
There's a running theme. He's obsessed with the Beatles, so there's this beautiful soundtrack attached to it, where there's a lot of artists that have covered Beatles songs all the way through. I'm Sam. I would hunt it down as a definite one to watch.
Okay.
Well, so we can't put it in just yet, but I would be interested for you to watch it.
We'll come back.
Yeah, I can't see you crying at a film, James. So I'm worried that we've set this one up.
There is one film, genuinely true story. There's one film as a child I always used to cry at, and I don't know why. There's no reason for it. It ends in a good way.
Was it Jurassic Park?
No. Do you want to have a guess?
Is it one that you should cry at?
No. So I don't think you should.
So it's like a comedy or a...
This is how bad it was. My parents used to take the mick out of me for crying at it.
Matilda.
No.
Oh.
You got to give us a clue because we'll be here all day.
Yeah, we'll be here all day.
One of the actors in it is in Raging Bull.
Joe Pesci?
It's Joe Pesci film.
Home Alone?
It is Home Alone.
Really? Oh my God.
I don't know why.
Really?
You know when
I was about to go my cousin Vinny.
Well, because it won the Oscar. How could it win the Oscar? No, it's when the mum comes home after spending the car journey with John Goodman telling her that she's not a bad mother. You know, these guys never see their kids. And when she walks through the door and Macaulay Culkin's just finished praying to God about bringing his parents back, it's heart-wrenching. And as a child, every time I watched it, I couldn't stop crying. Or maybe it's because I realised it was the end of Joe Pesci's career as a child.
To be honest, I think it's in that situation, James, it's an absolute no-brainer. Your parents were right to laugh at you.
I'm actually gobsmacked by that. Genuinely gobsmacked by that.
That's it. That's the only film I've ever cried at.
You will at I Am Sam.
I don't want to create an environment where you feel that you can't share these experiences, so I'm not going to rip into you too much.
I'd like to point out, I've shared 3 things with you today.
Yeah.
Enchanted,
Exit Wounds.
Exit Wounds.
Exit Wounds. You love it that much you don't know the name of the bloody film.
They're both brilliant.
And you put
films.
Die Hard second to Man on Fire. So
Fire.
we're going to have some words off air about this.
Right, so just going back to it, can we bang 7 in?
Can we link 7 to my choice? See no evil, hear no evil. Can we link them together?
We can. With controversy.
We can with controversy. And this may be
because John Doe is played by an actor who also is in See No Evil, Hear No Evil. With a glorious moustache.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. Both films star Kevin Spacey. Obviously at the moment...
Controversy.
Let's just leave that there. But
it's a good word.
Regardless of outcomes of said controversy, it cannot tarnish 2 great films.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what happens with the
3 great films, because the film I would like to nominate...
I knew you was going to this. I was going to hold off the link, and I thought, no, because you might not pick it. Go on.
He's obviously one of the 3 main stars of LA Confidential, my all-time favourite film of all time.
I didn't know he was in Exit Wounds, but yeah, carry on.
Or Enchanted.
Mate, as if you wouldn't watch a team-up of Steven Seagal and Kevin Spacey.
That's true. LA Confidential, James, sum it up.
Film noir. It's set in the 60s, 50s. It's such a great film. Guy Pearce, Russell Crowe, Kim Basinger, or Kim Basinger as she was then. You know, randomly she changed how you pronounce the name. And then obviously Mr. Spacey. Fantastic film. James Cromwell, obviously, big fan. Farmer Hoggett and Baby. It's such a great ensemble. Farmer Hoggett, mate. Such a great ensemble cast that drive this. Who've done it, murder throughout. It's based in real life. Mickey Cohen and his drugs, where do they go? Corruption, the LAPD when everyone hated him. It's just a fantastic story that once it picks up speed, and it's got one of the best all-time supporting characters in Danny DeVito, who always goes underlooked when people do this. Danny DeVito is a fantastic actor.
He's awesome.
I just think the film is phenomenal from start to finish. And I don't want to say anything about the film because I think the films in the vault are something you should go and experience for yourself. And for me,
it's a definite film that you remember watching it the first time.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favourite Russell Crowe performances.
Oh, Russell Crowe is just phenomenal. And do you know what? I don't actually like Guy Pearce, except for that and the film Memento, which I'm devastated.
Lawless, because he shaved his eyebrows off.
Oh, I like Lawless. I forgot about that. Yeah, but, okay, then now I take that back. He's pretty good in everything he is, but he's not as well known. But he drives that film with his... Because he starts off as quite naive by the book, and by the end he's turned into like this do the right thing.
He's got a character
but
arc, which
is actually missing from a lot of films now.
Yeah. I think character arcs are something really. Do you know there's an actor I think does that so well? Is Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
I think in just about everything he does, he has that real character arc. And do you know, for a future podcast, and something that we mentioned on social media recently, Tom Cruise films. I think Tom Cruise is an actor, love him or hate him, carries a performance from start to finish.
He does own the film. Even if the film's bad, he still seems to give it 100%. I would agree with that.
If you look into his films, you think, oh, Tom Cruise plays Tom Cruise. But if you actually look at it, he doesn't really.
I would like to go back and watch some Tom Cruise films because I've just always had a problem with him for no real reason other than I just didn't really like him.
I think that's exactly what I mean.
But
Some
the last
people
one I
just go
watched
straight to hating him.
What was Edge of Tomorrow? Was it?
I actually, do you know what? I quite like Edge of
Die
Tomorrow.
Repeat, whatever it was called.
Yeah, that's the tagline.
And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film.
You look at Oblivion. You look at. I thought that was a good film.
Have you not seen Oblivion? I would recommend
I
Oblivion.
normally
avoid it if it's got Tom Cruise in it.
I think
there's no real reason. So
first Jack Reacher I quite liked.
I love Jack Reacher.
The second one was not good, but the first one was great. Yeah, no, the first
Days
one
of
was
Thunder.
Right, I've never seen Days of... No, I have seen Days of Thunder. That's the racing car with his future wife, Nicole Kidman. It's the Born on 4th of July I've never seen.
Born on 4th of July. And ironically, Tom Cruise's actual birthday is the 3rd of July. How good's that?
Dun, dun, dun.
You know, if you had a sting, it's there.
Yeah, full of those. You'll get to learn that.
So, just quickly, LA Confidential.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
So, I vote yes.
Yeah.
I vote yes.
So, second list.
Yeah.
Second name on the list for the vote, LA Confidential.
As a question then, is there going to be the opposite to a vote?
I think there should be.
Right. Oh, no, I'm really going to struggle now. What's that big hole in Star Wars that Boba Fett falls into?
Oh, the Snarlack.
The Snarlack.
Is that the Snarlack?
I believe it's because it's not a hole, is it? It's where the Snarlack is. That's his mouth. There's some nerd on the internet right now ripping into me going, he's so wrong.
So can we have the opposite to the vault?
What we'd throw into the pit of Snarlack?
Yeah.
Like Enchanted.
Right. Well, have you seen Enchanted?
Funny you say that, Sam.
Or Batman, Brain Dead. No, I'm having Brain Dead.
I meant to say, because when you brought up Brain Dead, and I jumped in with I hated that film, to people that might have picked up on that. I didn't hate the film. I mean, it's Peter Jackson.
It was his first film, wasn't it?
I've not seen it.
I think it's very early. It might be his first.
No, he did one before it that was very similar.
It definitely falls into Zombie Land next week. Is one of them films.
Absolutely.
It's the original How You Get Rid of Zombies. You use a lawnmower film, and it is. There's a legend about the amount of fake blood that they used in the filming of that film. But for me, it just had a taste to the film. I didn't like it. And if you're eating, just don't listen to this bit. The bit when the boil pops in the custard, I still can't think of it now.
I'm confused. Are you trying to tell me to stay away from this film and watch this
film?
And
I think it starts with an evil rat.
Yeah,
am I right in that? It starts with an evil possessed rat.
There's also a bit with a zombie baby in a blender.
Zombie baby, yeah.
In the blender.
Yeah.
And it crawls out before it gets blended.
This sounds like just Sam's territory all over.
This is me all over, mate. If I would say anything, I'd say watch Cargo and watch Brain Dead because it's funny.
You sure it's the pit of Snarlack and not Sam's hole? I think that's where we should put horror movies that we will never see. We should stick them in Sam's hole.
I kind of like the Star Wars reference though. I'm sorry. I love a Star Wars.
We should have a separate hole. Yeah. We should have bad movies for the Snarlack and everything that we're never going to watch.
A film that we're actually contractually not allowed to talk about ever again on the podcast goes in Sam's hole.
It goes in Sam's hole.
All right, we'll do that then. So if it goes in Sam's hole, we'll have a list. We'll put it on Facebook and stuff.
So 3 lists.
Yeah.
If anyone can think of anything to put into my hole, please Facebook, Twitter, Instagram us, whatever you want.
Yeah. Please don't Instagram the object. because I'm sure there's rules.
Yeah. So. In fact, we could do it with a list of our lists at some point as well.
More than list shall we have?
Talking of lists, this is the greatest segue ever. I'm going to Poland later in the year, and I need to rewatch Schindler's List. Just as a side note, you've reminded me. Thank you very much. Actually, quite funnily, did anyone see the comment my brother put on our Facebook page? So we put has an actor ever gone out of his out of his or her way to prepare for a role. And I used the example of Christian Bale's
In the machine.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Machinist, yeah.
And someone wrote about Jared Leto in chapter 27, which I thought someone would, because that's, again, a remarkable transformation. And my brother wrote, Liam Neeson practiced writing a lot of lists before taking up, which I thought was very funny, actually. I had a chortle to myself. Great stuff. I kind of don't want this to end, boys. I've really enjoyed this.
I've enjoyed it.
We've just pushed the hour, but we had an intro music as well. So I think we've still got a few more minutes. If we did want to do maybe one more round of what would you put in, or not put in, but is there anything that stands out on this list?
Well, to be fair, I've added one. Aaron, have you added one?
Yeah, I went first, mate.
So, Sam.
I'm going to go.
No, you did.
Yeah, no, 7.
Yeah, but you haven't seen. Yeah, we got.
It was I'm Sam. Which,
so 7. I'd agree
say
with
7
So,
instead.
what's your best points about 7? Obviously, one of the best dark storylines. Killer using the 7 sins to commit his murders. Fantastic. It's quite simple as well. Quite a simple storyline told in a great, integral, kind of mysterious way. It's obviously David Fincher who used that style to develop his fantastic like Fight Club and so on. I just think the man sees a script and can turn it into something different because that film in
and
another
let's be honest,
person's hands.
he cast that film perfectly.
Oh, he did perfectly.
I think it also goes to some things that we started the podcast with. There's not a lot of backstory into why the guy's doing what he's doing.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
perfect.
also it stays away from the violence of the actual murders.
Yeah, you never see them being
you see
committed.
the aftermath, and sometimes that's worse because it leaves it to your imagination of the scenario. But I remember my dad coming home from the cinema. So I was too young to go to the cinema to watch that. And I remember my dad coming back and saying that it had one of the best endings to a film that he's ever seen. And I was like, and it really bugged me because I couldn't go see it. And when I finally got a copy of it, that ending is so spectacular, really.
Yeah. I think the two best things about it, the ending of the film, which obviously I'm not talking about. I very much doubt people haven't seen this film, but if you haven't, it's got one of the best endings to a film. And it's one thing you will get whilst we're doing this podcast is I don't know any actor's name in the world. Is it John C. McGinley?
Yeah, John C. McGinley, from Scrubs.
From Scrubs. It's got Dr. Cox in it.
Yeah, it's got Dr. Cox in it.
Who is Bay. So, yeah.
And I know we're trying to stay away from controversy, but the bad guy. And to me, what makes a good film like that is a good bad guy.
100%.
And John Doe is up there with...
What makes a good
Percy.
What I really like in films of that age is there's Percy.
Percy,
So I
Percy
heard
just
that,
off screen.
I watched it not yesterday, the day before. I watched it a while again. Oh, what a film.
Brilliant. What I really like about films of that age is that there's a formula to the police thriller films of that time.
Yeah.
And around the third act, what would happen is normally the bad guy has been captured or is close to being captured, or they're having a telephone chat, or they're having a conversation. Look at Heat, that scene where De Niro and Pacino are sat across from each other in the coffee shop. There's normally, at the start of the third act in them films, a conversation between the hero of the piece and the villain or the antagonist in the piece. And in that film, it's the long drive to the last victim, where they've got him in the back. And that bit is really the bit where the three actors, Kevin Spacey, Morgan Freeman, and Brad Pitt, can really go out of their way to show what they're about. And they also finish their characters really well. If you look at the play between Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman in that final scene, how they're talking to each other at the front of the cop car, their reactions to what the bad guy is saying in the back, the horrific things that he's saying. And Morgan Freeman, the veteran cop, very controlled, very poised as he's driving. Brad Pitt, the rookie, the new guy, a bit full of himself, a bit, it's just a wonderful ending to a film.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Weirdly, the relationship between the two cops is the antagonistic approach, isn't it? Because they do not get on well with each other through the film, whereas usually they're buddy cops. They start off against each other, but they come together.
Yeah.
This film is really weird because it seems to be in the car scene, Morgan Freeman and Kevin Spacey are on one length, and Brad Pitt can't. It's like he can't understand that he didn't do it because he wasn't crazy. He did it to send a message. And I want to say that before that film, I always thought Brad Pitt was kind of, the hottie. He didn't really have an acting skill. But from there, he went on, again, Fight Club, and I'm a big fan of Meet Joe Black. But he seemed to develop good acting instincts. And maybe it was just being in a film.
I've always been a fan of Brad Pitt. I don't think I can't think of a bad film that he's been in.
Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and try, to be honest.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one. There must be one.
Even the more hammy ones, Caris Case Benjamin Button, I loved it. I'm going to throw it out there. True Romance. What a film.
Yes, I do.
And
Yes.
Brad Pitt absolutely steals his scenes.
He's awesome, isn't he?
As does Gary Oldman.
I was going to say Gary Oldman's still my favourite as his white Rasta.
Yeah.
I do like that.
It's just a brilliant performance again.
Gary Oldman. He's brilliant.
Well, a Gary Oldman episode is obviously coming because he won the Oscar, so...
Deservedly so, but that's a topic for another conversation.
Can I just, before we do end, can I just give you both a film recommendation that I saw recently? It's a brand new one that's just been put on Netflix called Sweet Virginia.
Okay.
It only puts me on it because I'm not saying it's anywhere near Heat or anything like that, but just the scene you're talking about with De Niro and Pacino and stuff. This film has a lot of scenes that could reach that level.
It's got the potential to.
It's potentially about a hitman who performs his hit and is trying to get his money from the person who's supposed to pay him.
Yeah,
and is staying in what's his name? John Berthnell, is that his name? Is that
John Berthnell. You talk about the Punisher.
The Punisher, yeah. So he's stopping in John Bethnell's hotel, and they just have such a cool. Like, I think the bad guy's played so well because he is mental, but whenever he's in scenes with anyone normal or with John Bethnell, he's like talking like.
It's a good dynamic.
There's some brilliant, great dynamic, and it just sort of builds up, and just how both of the worlds come together so close without them even noticing until the very final scene. Like I say, I don't by any means anyone say I said it was anything like Heat because it's not.
No,
but. Yes, I really enjoyed it, and I thought there were some really good scenes in it that sort of on the edge. Because you know what's good. Yeah. Well, it really did put me on the edge of my seat.
Well, that's a good point. If we're going to talk about recommendations that we think you should watch, I mean, I'm going to say, I know we talked about it at the start, but I do recommend Skyscraper because you get exactly what you expect from that film, and I think it's fun. And to be fair, it's been a while since I've been to the cinema and just been entertained for the sake of stupidity.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's entertainment.
And so, if we're going to end on a recommendation, which I think is always nice because we're not a negative show, we respect these people's, not everyone's going to like everything you put out there. That's life. So I'm always going to try and end on a positive and tell you a film I'd like you to go see and hit me back on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram with what your thoughts are. And I would like you to go out there and see Skyscraper, a film I highly recommend, but it won't be for everyone. Aaron, any recommendations?
Off the top of my head, well...
You mentioned a few at the beginning, didn't
you? I wouldn't say Skyscraper. But I appreciate what you're saying in the sense that you're right. Cinema is at its best when it distracts you from the outside world, that pure escapism. And I think there's a lot to be said as well. The mindset that you are in when you go into a film, and Skyscraper. If you go into it just exactly, I know what this film is. I know what I want to see. I want to see The Rock for an hour and 45, do his thing. Then I think you'll love it. And I do love The Rock, so I'm not going to put it down. I'm actually going to go to the list and a film that possibly isn't going to go into the vault. So I'm going to throw one of these out there that I think some people should go check out. In fact, I hope it does go into the vault. I'm going to say it. Mystic River.
Yeah.
Mystic River.
Well, we wrote these lists on the night we watched Mystic River.
Yeah. So
no, we didn't. When we wrote these lists, this is how I remember it. We wrote these lists because this is kind of where this kind of idea started. We wanted to start a film club. We wanted to start it with our close family and friends. So we came up with this list, and we were going to show the list to our friends and family and have discussions about it. And then the idea, 8 years later, has evolved into this podcast.
So I mean, we act quick. You call me an idea 10 years later.
I mean, if we're going to do the zombie one, so we'll see you in like 4 years, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
But Mr. River, if you look at the caliber of that film, Sean Penn won the Oscar for it, phenomenal. Kevin Bacon, who we all love, Tim Robbins, directed by Clint Eastwood.
And that's, I would like to talk about it. When I next win the next challenge and we get to talk about it, I would like to talk about if he's a better actor or a director. It's a conversation I think we could go on for hours.
One scene to look out for in Mr. River, it's not a plot spoiler because it is the central part of the theme, is that Sean Penn's daughter gets murdered, which is the premise of the film. In shooting the scene, the script read that a policeman was meant to hold him back when they discover the body. And then Sean Penn off screen says to Clint Eastwood, if that was my daughter laying there, you think one person would hold me back? And in the film, about 15 police officers hold him back, and Sean Penn nearly gets through him. It's incredibly, it's just a real gut wrench of a film. But phenomenal. And like you say, I think it led Clint Eastwood down a path of, I'll say it right now, a better director than actor, because my generation of film, that's what he shines in. I wasn't in the Western area.
No.
Don't want to give an answer on it too much because it comes back to one of my favourite films, which isn't on the list, Unforgiven. And I'll always come back to that film as fantastic and one of the all-time greats.
So obviously, as you can tell from this point, I suppose there's plenty coming out of the Sorry You're in My Seat catalogue of what we're going to be discussing, which is really exciting. Hopefully we'll do these weekly and get them out to you to listen to. Do hook us up on Instagram and Facebook. If you just search Sorry You're in My Seat, you'll find us. If you want to be in a podcast, if you are local and you want to be in, just get in contact. We'd love to have you down here.
Come
we
down,
can
have a bit of a chat. It'd be
have
nice.
a beer and chat, and
Absolutely.
we'll discuss some films.
Just bring your own microphone.
No, I have a spare.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a completely free invitation to anyone that wants to do that. And really, what have we learned this week? We've learned don't pick Man of Fire over Die Hard, because that'll lose you a quiz. And we've also learned that exit wounds exists.
Well, yeah.
We're going to.
I was going to say something, but you know what? I've got nothing.